Hello and welcome to Homeowner Talk. My name is David Stone and I'm the president of Nevada Association Services, and this is my co-host John Leach, who is a partner in the law firm of Leach, Johnson, Sung and Gruco. Each episode we'll be here to talk with you about important homeowner topics. We, along with our guests, are here to provide you, hopefully, with useful and very good information on these subjects.
We also want to encourage you to interact with us and our guests each episode, so please visit our website at homeownertalktv.com and send us your questions. We will try to answer as many of your questions as we can on the air and online.
This is going to be a very exciting show. Today we're going to be talking about technology and how it affects homeowners associations. Please welcome J. Brad Greene, who works in business development for Reliant Programming and Web Services, and Brian Hunt, owner of Professional Parking Enforcement. Brad and Brian, thank you both for being here. It's great to see you both.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. We also appreciate what the knowledge you're about to dispense to our viewers. Brad, I hope you don't mind if we start with you. Could you maybe give our viewers just a little bit of background about yourself and about Reliant, the company, the things that you do, the services you offer?
Certainly. Well, about myself, I'm a native of Las Vegas, so I've got to see a lot of changes around here, and of course, how the homeowners associations have had a big part in that. As far as Reliant goes, Reliant's been around for about 10 years, and we're a programming company, and we also do IT and network, typical network support for different businesses. And regarding the homeowners associations and the industries around those, we do a lot of programming and customization of programs, which Brian will talk about what we've done for him, that actually help those industries perform more efficiently and effectively, and ultimately saving the homeowner associations money, time, effort, things like that.
And your company works with a lot of companies that are affiliated with homeowners associations,
That's
whether
right.
it's parking or other ancillary businesses. What sets Reliant apart from other companies that try to get in the door to do technology work for HOA affiliated companies?
Well, I think one thing that sets Reliant apart from the competition, specifically regarding the HOAs, is the fact that Reliant has been working with a company called GetDocsNow.com, which is affiliated with the HOA industry, and Reliant's been working with them for about 8 years now. And so we really are invested in the HOA industry, and we've also have Brian. We also work with insurance companies, with collection companies, a lot of people that are involved in that HOA industry, so we understand it very well.
They always say that legislation always lags behind technology. You guys are always progressing faster than the laws can even keep up with. I'm just kind of curious what your observations are on maybe some of the trends you're seeing, whether it be in the social media or otherwise, with the services that you provide.
Well, as far as the law goes, since we are invested in the HOA industry, we are familiar with the laws as they're changing. We all know the legislature just ended and made some few changes, so we're always staying ahead of that. Regarding, I'm sorry, the second part.
So just do you see any trends that are going on out
the
there
trends.
now? How HOAs can maybe be more efficient, or they're seeing the need to have more technology, because you guys, like I said, the progress in technology.
Social media, things of that nature.
Okay. One thing that we're seeing with social media, Facebook, MySpace, things like that, it's interesting because a lot of people are getting involved in those type of things as an individual. As when we look at the communities and the property managers, they're a little bit reluctant. Typically, they're, I think, afraid that it's going to become a negative sounding board or something like that. The truth is, what we've actually seen is communities that start like let's say a Facebook community page or something like that. It really turns into a community forum. It's too hot here for us to sit out on the porch and talk like we used to, or like the old days we see people on the porch communicating. Facebook and things like that have become that medium. And from what I understand, it's actually become very helpful to the people to be able to communicate within those associations.
And before we switch over to Brian, quick question. Any comments on internet safety? That seems to be always on the cutting edge, and we're hearing about the news, it seems like quite regularly, about breaches in internet safety. And what should associations look for, and how do you bring that to their attention?
Internet safety is something that, of course, is always out there. We talk to a lot of companies, and they say, "Oh, we're completely safe." And we hear the stories every day of major corporations that are having safety breaches through the internet. Basically, my advice to everyone is very simple: use common sense. Regarding social media, if you're going on vacation, don't tell everyone about the great vacation you're going to go on. Wait till you get back and tell everyone about the great vacation that you went on. Don't advertise that you're going to be gone. If you receive an email from someone you don't know, delete it. If you receive an email soliciting information, personal information, delete it. Move on. And that's basically use common sense, and you'll be in pretty good shape.
Good advice. Brian, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and about professional parking enforcement.
Well, I've been in the parking business for about 25 years, basically all I've ever done after college. And for a long time I was working for another company doing commercial parking, and developed some systems at that point as far as commercial parking was involved for the tracking of vehicles and things like that. When I came to Las Vegas about 10 years ago, I got involved in the HOA industry and found out that they had similar problems in the residential areas. And so after retiring from my other company, I decided to start my own specifically for the residential marketplace, but also commercial and enforcement and inspection type of properties. So professional parking enforcement was really started from the thought process of we need to bring some professionalism, some ownership to the industry as far as how do we do things differently than what they've been done in the past.
And so what do you do now to help associations now with parking? How do you implement that?
Well, we're a proactive parking company, meaning we go out and do the inspections for the association so that the managers or the board members don't have to do it themselves. And we do it at all times, day or night, which is very unusual for managers and homeowners or board members. To have them go out and do that can sometimes be difficult.
We shot some video of this, I think. Maybe we can put the first one up where they show a little about your enforcement.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell our viewers a little bit how this works.
Great. This is a dramatization of what we do. As you can see, a person has gone and parked in a no parking zone. And so what we do is we would go to the site, inspect the property. In this case, we'll come up behind them. In the vehicle that you see, we would have a computer that will have our new technology in it. We'll look at the vehicle. If it's in violation, we'll then go ahead and put a violation notice on the car. That violation notice is a communication to those people to let them know this is what's going on and this is what they can do to fix the problem. We'll take all the documentation as far as the taking of the picture, and then if they continue to violate, and in this dramatization, if this person had been doing this for several times, we'll go ahead and put a wheel boot on the vehicle or call in for a tow. And in that way, that helps the association enforce the rules that they've set forth in the industry. Now this is our Viper system. As you can see in the vehicle itself, we have computers in each vehicle which are linked to a server that Reliant provides, and it has all the documentation about everything we've ever seen on our properties. The great news about that is that information is now available to the people who need it, my inspectors, myself, or the managers, at a moment's notice using this new program.
And I think we have some video of accessing the information online, so
yes,
we can take a look at this.
Now this is a dramatization of a manager sitting in her office, and she's on the phone with a homeowner who's called in. They've got a violation and they're asking what's going on, what happened, what did we do? She's able to get in through our website portal and actually look right at the information that we've provided, including any documentation that we've provided and any pictures that we've taken. This was just not possible a few years ago, and for my company, this is a great leap forward from the manual projects that we were doing before.
In my profession, it doesn't take much for one person to spoil the whole brew. So I guess I'd ask you the same thing. How do you combat the industry perception at times when another company might do things that isn't necessarily lawful or proper, and yet they kind of throw you all in the same barrel?
Right. Well, unfortunately, there have been some companies out there who have not done things legally. They do things predatorily, meaning they go out and they just do things without proper documentation and without proper communication. And what I found is if we can provide those kinds of things, that's when the system works very well. My software product, Viper, that Reliant provided to me with my direction, allows for communication and documentation of everything.
Right.
And those things are so critical in my business because pictures are worth 1,000 words.
Right. That's, we need to move on. I apologize, Brian. That's really interesting. Thank you both very much for being here with us. When we come back, we'll be joined by Joe Russo, owner of GetDocsNow.com, and Barbie Moran, escrow officer for First American Title, to talk more about changes technology is having on homeowners associations. We'll be right back.
So what's new?
It's the flashing yellow arrow.
Tell me more.
Say you're going to make a left turn. On the green arrow, you turn left. A yellow arrow means the signal is going to change to red. A red arrow means you stop. Next, you'll see a flashing yellow arrow. The flashing yellow arrow means you must yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians. Any other questions?
I got what I need.
The new flashing yellow arrow signal will be installed gradually throughout the valley. For more information, visit rtcsnv.com.
Waves of foreclosures have slammed Las Vegas, the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis. The maze of paperwork and red tape can be daunting. Who do you turn to? Where do you start? StopNVForeclosures.org is a secure, city-sponsored website that will connect you to free, HUD-approved housing counseling. There's help out there, and we can help you find it. Visit StopNVForeclosures.org or call 229-HOME for more information.
Welcome back to Homeowner Talk. Please welcome Barbie Moran of First American Title and Joe Russo, owner of GetDocsNow.com, to talk about how technology has changed the real estate and HOA industry. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Joe. Why don't you tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got involved in this industry?
Great. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Been in real estate for 25 years, about 15 years in Maryland, last 10 years here in town, broker of my own company. And, just delivering documents across town as agents when we're doing the business is really inefficient. So one day, about 10 years ago, my ex-partner and I came up with an idea for GetDocsNow, and we pursued making it.
And how did you get this? So your experience in the real estate industry was you were doing the real estate side, the sales or whatnot, and so you had to have the documents to close, and we get to talk to Barbie about that in a minute. But in your experience, was how do we get it done quicker so that sales are not jeopardized or anything?
If we're in our car going to pick up documents, go to the bank, get a cashier's check, which was required for us to get the documents and then take time to bring them to our client, the best thing to do is maybe make that an online process. So that's where the thought came from, saving time. And the same thing whittles down to what we do now, which is really save people time, and time equals money. And so effectively, we help people's bottom line by helping them streamline their back-end processes through GetDocsNow.
And you're in a number of states, correct? You're not just...
Across the country.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's exciting. So again, so for our viewers, those that are either on boards or management, work in management, your service are to help get those documents out quicker.
Basically.
That's kind of your slogan.
Use
get them out.
At the documents at the speed of net. Yep, exactly.
And you just log online to GetDocsNow.com, and then you search for the homeowners association that you need the documents for. You use your credit card, and that's pretty much it. It all gets emailed out.
And if you pay by credit card, you get your documents immediately. If it goes through a title company where they may be able to pay by check, it takes a little longer, but well within the legal time limit.
And not all deals naturally go through. Some fall through. So is there something built into the system to accommodate for those deals that never seem to make it anywhere?
Yeah, we definitely can refund money. In our system for those documents, pretty much all sales are final because we don't know if it's going to go. But if it's close enough, we work with clients all the time to refund money if we need to.
And may I ask, at least for in Nevada, how many associations are online with you, if that's something you care to share? I find that to be
Probably about 20% of the market right now.
Well, it seems that
That's pretty
everyone
good.
would
There's
want to have their.
4,000 of them in town, so that's a good,
That's a huge
800 associations, so that's
huge
awesome.
number of those.
We just finished a legislative session. The legislature every 2 years meets, and they change sometimes the requirements of what documents need to be provided at resale, and how much you can charge for documents. That keeps changing all the time. And again, this year, how have you adapted to the changes in the HOA industry, in the real estate industry as well?
Well, being involved with the different groups, CAI in Nevada, and just being on boards and active, being in front of the issues and the laws, we are immediately adapting that to changing the back end of our site. So we're current. Anyone that plugs into our site is abiding by the law. Now, law is interpreted, and so there's always a gray area of time after it's passed that you have debates on what did it really mean, what did this one word change, two people looking at the same thing see two different things. So we have adjusted the site to be the same thing, be what it needs to be for both. It can turn on a feature or off a feature. So we're very flexible. Once it's determined that this is not how we're doing it, we immediately change it. So we're very flexible, agile in the market, and we're tailor-making the site. It's never finished. It's always being worked on and upgraded.
And I would assume that's probably the biggest challenge that you have to adjust to the gray areas in statutes and with the various states.
Coding hours from Reliant to go in and change something or add something to it, because if it's not current, then you're not doing your service to your clients.
Great.
Barbie, let's switch gears here just a minute. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background and the role that you play as an escrow officer?
I'm an escrow officer with First American Title. I've been with them for 9 years. We process the transactions, order demands, and close the files. So the getdocsnow.com really helps to get the demands quickly and close and be able to track them, which is demands usually what slow us down to be able to close a file.
So when you talk, just for our viewers to understand the demand, you're trying to close. There are certain things that the seller must provide to the buyer, and you can't close without them. Mm-hmm. Some of those are going to be documents or information regarding if monies are due to various parties and whatnot. And so you send that demand out. To whom do you normally direct the demand?
To whom do we direct it? Send it to? Well, our demands we send to the sellers, and the HOA resale packages would go to the agents, so they can get them to their buyers.
And as part of the HOA resale package, then we need to kind of use the services of Get Docs Now so that we can get those things and you can proceed quicker.
Yes.
So can you give us an example, someone that's not familiar with how the process works? I understand a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm purchasing a house now from a homeowners association. John's representing me. You're doing a great job, by the way. I appreciate that. For that 1%.
I mean, what I like is that you're hiring someone. They do that on the East Coast. Out here, we just use title companies. That's right. Use lawyers out here.
So we open up an order with you. Now, take it from that point. Where do we go, and how does GetDocsNow.com come into play in dealing with the management companies, the collection agencies, and so forth?
Well, once the order is open, then we order a title report and see what's on the title. And usually if there's a homeowners association, we have to order a demand to see if the seller's current, what the dues are, and what the transfer fees are. So that's where we would go to getdocsnow.com to order the demand. The seller also has to provide a resale package to the buyer by law before they can close, so that would be ordered. And for closing, we pay everything current, and that's where we get the amounts from.
And sewer, anything else, any lids or any sort of county expenses, that's all paid at the closing?
Yes.
So your experience has been that by being able to access, can you do that yourself?
Yeah, I can go online and order them myself, and I'll get a code that I can give to the agent to pay the upfront fee, and that way I can track it directly. When we're just faxing demands to companies, we have no way of tracking to make sure that they received it, if it's being processed, so it makes it a lot easier.
Silence is golden. They send that demand out there, and they're wondering what black hole it fell into. So again, the portion of the transaction requires the documents. You can do that yourself, expedites the process completely. You don't have to wait on anybody. You're not expecting somebody else who's maybe on vacation, doesn't see the request for days. You get that part done quickly.
Yes.
And have you found that that's been helpful in your industry as far as actually being able to close and to satisfy the buyer-seller?
Oh, definitely, because we can close quicker, and if we don't get the demand right away, or if something were to come up, we can track it and let them know what's going on and give them a time frame. So it makes it a lot easier, and they feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we have a time frame.
So, being in the foreclosure business that I am, having my finger on the pulse of the real estate business, people are always asking me, so what's going on with the real estate industry? So I'll ask you just real quickly, I mean, what's the trend that you're seeing now as far as are deals happening? Are numbers up? Are they down? Are deals falling out? Short sales? I mean, what do you
Short
see
sales
out
are
there?
definitely up. They're starting to close. The banks are approving them a lot quicker now, so the short sales are becoming more of a trend. We still have a lot of bank-owned properties, but
And is
the
that
short
still a
sales
huge
are-
chunk of the business, the REO or bank-owned properties?
Yes.
Those are still a majority. I think at one point there were about 50 or 60% of all of the transactions were bank-owned properties or properties in foreclosure, so you're still seeing that.
Yeah, still a lot of bank-owned, but the short sales are starting to actually close and quicker.
Are you finding any conflict between the lenders and the HOAs with the short sales?
No, they've been paying the delinquent if there is delinquent on them, and there haven't been an issue at all.
So, Joe, you mind us coming back? In your experience, because you've been in the industry as an agent, now you're doing the documents. Kind of put a bow around all this. How do you see the technology working today, and are there things that we can do better? What can we in the industry do better to either facilitate the transaction or, again, to make our clients happier? What do you see?
We can always do things better, and that's what we strive to do, always trying to improve. If it ain't broke, we break it, and we're trying to make it better because our competitor will do it if we don't. Being in the technology field with Reliant, it keeps us cutting edge on programming languages, projects that are in the now. We're doing apps now. We do smartphone apps. So we're trying to figure a way to apply smartphone apps to the industry that I'm heavily in, which is the community management associations and the homeowners associations.
So community managers will be thrilled to know that on a Sunday they can whip out their smartphone and start playing with their apps to get the demands going through. They're going to really appreciate
I don't know
that.
why they pick up weekends. No, but I think the thing again that's most important is because the laws give us a certain amount of time within which to do things, and sometimes that's really not convenient for the parties that are in the transaction. And associations tend to, you have to do a resale package within a certain period of time, and sometimes that'll sit. And lawfully it can sit, but in reality, when you can do so many things without involving a third party, it's got to be a positive.
And in the last 5 years, what have you seen on the escrow title side of things? Escrow, as far as technology goes, or changes in the industry, other than it's slowing down for a period of time anyway? What have you seen?
But the technology really helps. We can close things a lot faster and follow up on things a lot faster than we could before.
Fewer mistakes,
yes.
Makes for cleaner title and
very
happy title
more
companies.
streamlined and it doesn't take as long to close a file as it did.
Okay. And so First American Title, do all of your escrow officers use the services of Get Docs now? How does that work? Is it individual? Is it the company-wide? How does that work?
Well, the Homeowners Association that uses GetDocsNow.com, when they're the Homeowners Association on a property, then we use
so
that.
they need to be networked in there, because otherwise it wouldn't do any good to log on because there's no docs there.
They have to be
so
set
we
up.
need to encourage our homeowners associations to get online here, so then it makes the process better. And one of the things we constantly tell our clients is a lot of times decisions are made, and it's just to help our homeowners. It's just like the recertification with FHA. You do it so that they have more opportunity. Now they can make the services better for their
I think
homeowners.
change for anybody is a little bit scary at times, and trying to get them to sort of throw this over to Get Docs Now might be a bit of a challenge for them because they have to relinquish a little bit of control, and that's probably something you're always dealing with to try to
They
say
actually
it's
get
okay.
a lot of control back. So if I had a chance to talk to people about it, the perception of control is a very interesting thing. I think to get a lot more control using a system.
It's all
We
education,
really
perhaps.
appreciate your insight. Most of us don't know all the intricacies and the technological changes that you guys just use on a daily basis. So thanks so much for the education.
Great. Joe and Barbie, thank you very much. The industry has certainly changed quite a bit. Thanks for being with us, both of you. We're going to take a break right now. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come on, guys. You know better than that.
Just had to check that text, didn't you? Bet you didn't even notice you were driving into a school zone where a kid could step right in front of your car at any moment.
And you, the crosswalk's only a few yards that way. You didn't even look to see if any cars were coming.
And of course, Chatty Chatterson over there was a big help, waving you out into traffic. Way to go, Mom.
And now here we are on the brink of disaster, all because nobody bothered to pay attention. Wow, that was a very close call. Too bad I'm not real.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Welcome back. Through HomeownerTalkTV.com, we ask our viewers to send in questions. Please check our website for viewer questions and answers that we don't address on the show. Tracy wrote in to ask about changing assessment due dates, and she asked, can a master association turn my quarterly fee into a monthly fee? My paperwork says the fee will be assessed quarterly. Now they want it every month instead. Also, do you know anything about lids? John, what are your comments on the fee question?
Well, first, if it's all right, let's use the word assessment, because a fee is something different than an assessment. A fee is usually a charge, for example, attributable to a collection. You have a fee that you charge for a service, whereas an assessment is a little bit different. The statute makes a distinction between an assessment and a fee. So I think that the viewer is asking, I have an assessment obligation to my HOA. It's currently being billed quarterly. They now want to go monthly. What's interesting about the question is normally most governing documents call it an annual fee. They assess it on an annual budget, and actually the entire amount is due on January 1. And then they can collect it, whether it be quarterly, monthly, whatever, so however it works. But one other thing that's interesting about the question is quarterly is front-loaded. So if the association was saying, okay, we're going to do it monthly, what they're really doing is giving the homeowners the benefit of delaying some of the payment up front. So it would seem like the homeowner would be pleased. But the question also said, in our papers it says. Now, I don't know what the paper she's talking about. If it's in the CC&R, then they ought not to change it. They do have some ability through the new law that goes into effect January 1 to make some modest modifications. But again, I don't think a homeowner should be upset if they go monthly rather than quarterly, because it slows down the payment. As far as lids, those are it's an acronym for improvement districts that are used, either landscape or special improvement districts. That's usually imposed by a municipality. It helps build the infrastructure in advance, and you're making a payment on that district until it's paid off in full. It is very much lienable. They could foreclose on you just like an HOA could, but the HOA is usually not involved in the lid or a SID, whichever one it is. That's usually the municipality, and failure to pay the municipality could result in the same thing as not paying your real estate taxes.
That's right. And just to comment on the assessment question, they can certainly send in 3 months of assessments at every time. So all of a sudden your monthly becomes a quarterly.
Right.
And most likely if it was a yearly assessment, probably the assessment isn't all that much. For our clients, if it's a yearly assessment, you're usually talking maybe a couple $100. Correct. And I know that a lot of people that I know that live in these types of associations, they write one check January 1st, because you don't be writing a check every month for $18 or $20. It's kind of a pain. So that's another option.
And a lot of boards are just looking for any way possible to deal with the economic hardship to homeowners, and if they can delay the assessment for a short period of time, it usually is easier for the homeowner.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We encourage all of our viewers to keep sending questions in through our website.
We'd also like to thank our guests today, J. Brad Greene of Reliant Programming and Web Services, Brian Hunt of Professional Parking Enforcement, Barbie Moran of First American Title, and Joe Russo of GetDocsNow.com. Thanks for being with us.
Well, that's all for this edition of Homeowner Talk. We'd like to thank all of our partners on the show, the Management Trust, Alliance Association Financial Services, Classic Landscapes, LLC, GetDocsNow.com, Western Risk Insurance, and Nevada Association Services. And remember, you can always find information about this program, and you can also drop us a line at HomeownerTalkTV.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Homeowner Talk.